Okay, so today we are going to do 4.2, writing equations in slope-intercept form. And the first way we're going to look at it is when we have a slope and 1 point. So we're going to write slope-intercept form, and we're writing these equations. Okay, so there's 3 steps. Step 1, in the equation y equals mx plus b, we're going to replace m with the slope, and we're going to replace x and y with the given point. Step 2, we're going to solve for b, which is the y-intercept. And then step 3, we're going to, in this equation y equals mx plus b, we're going to replace m and b with their values that we found. Okay, so let's go through example 1. And at any point, if you want to pause it and try some of the problems on your own, you can do that, and then you can just press play and you can see if you got the problems correct. So it's kind of nice watching a screencast. You can kind of go at your own pace, pause it if it's too fast, or pause it if you want to try some problems on your own and then kind of fast forward. Okay, so let's look at example 1. Write an equation of the line that passes through each point with the given slope. So I have a value of x and a value of y and a value of m. So it says step 1, in the equation y equals mx plus b, I'm going to replace the slope and x and y with what's given. Okay, so notice how I labeled y was 7, so I'm going to put right underneath that, I'm going to put 7 equals, m was negative 1, so I'm going to replace m with negative 1, x was negative 4, and then I have plus b, right? Well, remember, that's what I'm trying to solve for. So once I plug all those values in, I should only have one variable, and that should be b. Okay, so step 2, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to solve. So 7 equals negative 1 times negative 4 is positive 4 plus b. Subtract 4 from both sides, and I get 3 equals b. Okay, that was step 2. Now, step 3, our last piece, well, what do we want to do? We want to go back to what was m, what was b, and write the equation. So I'm going to keep y there, so it's going to be y equals m was negative 1, x plus b, which we found was 3. Now, if you put negative 1 instead of negative x, that would be fine as well. Okay, let's take a look at example B. So again, I'm plugging into the y equals mx plus b, right? That's the formula. So if I have y is 5 equals m is 2 times x, which is 1, plus b. So I have 5 equals 2 plus b. Subtract 2 from both sides. I get 3 equals b. So again, slope-intercept, I need slope and I need the y-intercept. So now I can rewrite it. Y equals, slope was 2, x plus b, which is 3. So y equals 2x plus 3. Again, if you want to pause it, try the next one on your own and then see if you get it correct. I think that's a good recommendation. Here I have y is 5, then I have slope is 2/3 times negative 6, which is x plus b. So I bring down the 5. Now 2/3 times 6. So you can multiply the numerators. That would be negative 12 over 3, or you can just see that that's going to be negative 4 plus b. I'm going to add 4 to both sides, and I get 9 for the value of b. Again, I want to go back, take those two parts, and plug them back in. So it's going to be y equals 2/3 x plus 9. Okay, next one. We have y is negative 2 equals negative 1/3 times x, which is 3, plus b. So I have negative 2 equals, well, 1/3 of 3 is 1, so that's going to be negative 1 plus b. Add 1, add 1. Again, remember, we're trying to isolate b. And I get negative 1. So now I take the slope, I take my y-intercept, and I'm just going to substitute those back in. So we get negative 1/3 x minus 1. Okay, so that was given a slope and a point. Now what I want to do is I want to focus on what if now we are given 2 points and we want to write the equation in slope-intercept form. There's really just one additional step. Notice what we all had in each of these. I gave you a point and I gave you a slope. I gave you the slope. So if I just give you 2 points, that first step has to be done first. We have to find the slope containing the 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. After that, step 2 is going to look similar to what we were just doing. We're basically replacing m with the slope and x and y with one of the given points. Basically for this, you choose which one. It doesn't matter. You should get the same answer regardless of which point you choose. Next, we're going to solve for b. And then lastly, you're going to make your equation replacing m and b with their values. Okay, I'll kind of refer to that example. Okay, so again, here's our steps. So step 1 says find the slope. Now, do we remember what is the slope formula? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We just did this in the last chapter. So for step 1, I got to find out what m is equal to. Okay, so y2 is negative 3 minus y1, which is 3, over x2, which is 2, minus negative 1. That's going to make it a plus 1. So I'm going to get negative 6 over 3. Make sure you simplify everything. That's going to be negative 2. Okay, step 2. We're going to replace. So now remember, what are we using? We're using y equals mx plus b, right? Now that I know m equals negative 2, I get to choose one of these 2 points. It doesn't matter. I usually like to pick the one with the smaller numbers, or if there's a 0, I'm going to use the point negative 1 and 3. So I'm going to make this my x and this my y. So it's going to be 3 equals m was negative 2 times x, which is negative 1, plus b. Okay, so it should look the same as what we did on the previous page. So here I get positive 2, subtract 2 from both sides, and I get 1 for b. Now I'm going to put together m is negative 2 and b equals 1, and just write my final answer. So it's going to be y equals negative 2x plus 1. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, let's try another one. So first I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. So I have m equals 4 minus 0 over negative 3 minus 6. So I get m equals 4 over negative 9. Okay. Now I'm going to pick, so here's my slope. I can choose 6, 0 or negative 3, 4. I'm going to use 6, 0. If 0 is one of the numbers, it makes it a lot easier to substitute in. So remember, we're always going back to this y equals mx plus b. Okay, so if I'm using 6 for x and 0 for y, it's going to be 0 equals negative 4/9 times x, which is 6, plus b. Okay, if you need to use your calculator here, this would give us negative 24 over 9, which would be negative 8/3. So then I'm going to add 8/3 to both sides. So I get 8/3 is our value of b. Now I have my slope, I have my y-intercept. I'm going to rewrite this. -4/9 x plus 8/3. Okay, same here. Let's see, x1 and y1, x2 and y2. Okay. Again, if you want to pause it, maybe try the next two on your own and you can come back and see if you get the right answers. So m equals 7 minus 0 over 0 minus -5, so that's going to make that 0 plus 5. So I get 7/5. Now we get to decide which point. However, what do I notice? 0, 7. That is already a y-intercept. Now, let's say so we can actually recognize that that's what b is equal to, but let's say you didn't think about it and you just made 0x and 7y. Take a look at what happens when we plug into y equals mx plus b. We get 7 equals 7/5 times 0 plus b. Notice we'd end up with 7 no matter how we look at that problem there. Okay, and then we're just going to put that together. And we get y equals 7/5 x plus 7. Next one, let me just label my points. M equals, okay, so we have y2 minus y1, so that's going to be minus -6. So that's going to make that plus 6. And then -2 minus 2. We get 10 over -4. I'm going to reduce that, so I'm going to make that -5/2. And these points look pretty equivalent. Maybe I'll use the x2, y2 with -5/2. So again, it's y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to substitute in y is 4, m is -5/2. X is -2, and then plus b. So 4 equals, the 2's would actually cancel, so I'll just get a +5 plus b. Subtract 5 from both sides, and we get -1. Now we have m, we have b, so we're just going to put that all together, -5/2 minus 1. Okay, the last example is a word problem. Okay, so let's take a look. As a part-time job, Ethan makes deliveries for a caterer. In addition to his weekly salary, he is also paid $16 per delivery. That's important. Last week, he made 5 deliveries, and his total salary was $215. Write a linear equation to find Ethan's total weekly salary S if he makes D deliveries. Okay, let's not worry about the variables just yet. Let's just think in terms of y equals mx plus b. Okay, do I have any of these pieces of information? Well, $16 per delivery happens to be my slope, right, per delivery. And then we have this other information. Last week he made 5 deliveries and his total salary was $215. That's actually an ordered pair. That's going to be 5 deliveries for $215. So if I have X and I have Y and I have M, I can identify what B is equal to. So I have 215 equals, and then I have 16 times 5, and then plus B. So I have 215. This is going to give us 80. Subtract 80 from both sides, and that's going to give us 135 for B. So now if I put that together into that equation, that will be y equals 16x plus 135. Now I'm not going to leave my answer that way because the problem specifically said let's use S for the weekly salary, and D for deliveries. So if I were to decide which one is X and which one is Y, the total weekly salaries, that's where normally we would think of our Y, and the deliveries is our X. So I'm just going to rewrite this as S equals 16D plus 135. Okay, so then homework assignment for tonight. You have assignment 19, page 229. So I want you to spend the rest of the time working on this homework. All right, and then that way too, you don't have so much homework over your 4-day weekend. All right, so, and you can always, as always, you can email me if you have any questions.